All right, so let me ask you a question. Are you reading everything in every record you uncover? Because I'll be honest, my answer to this question years ago would have been, well, I think so. And I would later discover just how wrong that answer was. You see, back in the day, I used to be a grab and go genealogist. I would grab a few pieces of information I wanted from a record and move on to the next record and rinse and repeat. And it wasn't until I realized I was missing important clues in records that I really started to pay attention to every bit of information in every record I came across. You'd be surprised what you can learn if you just slow down and really look at everything a record is telling you, even if you don't think it's important at the time, because it will likely be important at some point. So, to illustrate my point, I'm going to show you some examples by looking at some things you may be missing in death certificates. So, for those of you who don't know me yet, I'm Julie Cahill-Tarr with Genealogy in Action, and I provide tips and tricks to make your genealogy life easier and more productive so you can find your elusive ancestors quickly and confidently. So if you're a dedicated genealogist looking to uplevel your skills, you are in the right place. So in this video, I'm going to show you 5 clues you may be missing in death certificates and why you'd want to make sure you don't overlook them. And be sure to stick around to the end because I have a bonus clue that is often sought out, but maybe not used to its fullest potential. All right, so let's dive in. So I decided to use death certificates from the same county and state to illustrate just how much these records can evolve over time and how the information collected can differ even in the same place. Now, we know this is true in the back of our minds, but we don't really think about it, especially if we're in a grab and go mentality. And of course, records vary from place to place too, so we want to make sure we are reading every record in its entirety to really milk it for everything it's got to tell us. Break that grab and go habit. So let's start right now by looking at 5 clues you may be missing in death certificates. Okay, so did you know that some death certificates include the length of residency of the decedent? Now, this could be the length of time at the usual residence, or it could include length of residency in the town, state, and or country. So in this 1891 example, the question is, how long resident in this state? Now, because this person was an immigrant and he'd been living in Illinois for 8 years, and assuming the information is correct, he likely immigrated to the US by 1883, giving us a clue when looking for immigration and naturalization records. So in this 1932 example, it asks for length of residency in the city or town where the death occurred. And I know that's really, really hard to read, but believe me, that is what it says. And if foreign born, how long in the US? Again, I know that's really hard to read. For both, 31 years is listed. So if the information is correct, she immigrated about 1901 and had lived in Chicago ever since. Now, again, this information can help with finding immigration records, but it can also help in finding other records knowing that she had resided in Chicago for the previous 31 years. Next up is undertaker or funeral director. Now, this information is usually found on most death certificates, regardless of place and time, and it's a clue that could lead to additional records. Now, you'll typically find it near the burial information. So in this 1918 example, it is located in the bottom right corner under the burial information and provides the name of the undertaker and the address. So you could use this information to seek out additional information and perhaps additional records, such as funeral records. Now, more recent death certificates often asked if the decedent served in the military. So in this 1978 death certificate, we can see that this person did serve in the military from 1943 to 1946, meaning he likely served in World War II. Not only does this add to his story, but you can use this clue to find additional records, including military records. So next, let's turn to inquests. I found 2 death certificates for my great-grandfather's death in 1946. There are several clues that an inquest was conducted. First, the temporary certificate issued states that the inquest is pending. On the permanent certificate, there is a note of the inquest being held and the findings. If there was an inquest, records were created and they can contain more information than what's listed on the death certificate. So if they're extant, you will want to seek them out. Now here's a tip. Earlier death certificates may not provide any indication of an inquest, so you may need to become familiar with the laws at the time to determine if there would have been a need for an inquest, and if so, then you can look for those records. And this is also a useful strategy when death records don't exist. So next up is place of death. Now, you're likely looking for the place of death, but are you following up on it? For example, the place of death could be the decedent's usual residence, or it could be the residence of a family member, or a nursing home, or a hospital, or a sanitarium. These are all clues and details you'll want to make note of. That strange address could be the address of a married daughter who you lost track of, and now you can use the information and pick up her trail again. If the person died in a hospital or some other facility, are you able to get any records from the facility? Now, they're not always easy to get, but they can be a goldmine of information. So in this 1914 death certificate, the person died at the county hospital. It also tells us how long he was there, which was 4 days. Now, perhaps there's a way to get a copy of those hospital records, which could tell us more about the events surrounding his death besides the fact that he died of diphtheria. So, as promised, I have a bonus clue for you. Now, you're probably already making note of who the informant is, so you can check for reliability of things such as the decedent's place of birth and their parents' names. But are you noting the informant's appearance in the death record as an event in their own life? That simple event is the fact that they were living at the time of the decedent's death, and that could be crucial if you have gaps of time missing for that informant. Sometimes you'll even get an address or at least a city of where they're residing at the time, so you'll want to make note of that and use those clues as needed. Now, there are actually a lot more clues hidden in death records that I didn't cover here, but let me reiterate the importance of reading everything in a record so you don't miss those important clues. Let's break that grab and go habit today. And I have one way you can start to break that habit by taking action. So here's what I want you to do. Pull out 2 or 3 death certificates and read the whole darn thing. And if it helps, transcribe it. That's what I do, so I know I don't miss anything. And I'm guessing that if you take some time to do this activity, you'll start to see things you previously overlooked. And I'm hoping that experiencing these aha moments will inspire you to drop that grab and go mentality and really dive deeper into the records moving forward. So I hope you've enjoyed this video and that you're ready to ditch that grab and go mentality so you can get the most out of the records you find. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to subscribe for more genealogy tips and tricks and click the little bell so you'll be notified when new videos are released. Bye for now.